when you go to the holiday dinner, don't sit next to Aunt Carol. But if you get stuck with that bitch, take what she has to say with a grain of salt. Maybe, feed her a little extra alcohol. Maybe she'll just like pass out. I'm kidding. Don't do that. But just listen to the experts in terms of moving yourself forward. Do not give the power to people who, number one, don't even have the results that they want for themselves. And they're not experts within the industry of helping you achieve the aesthetic that you're going after with your body. Get in, losers. We're going lifting. Babe, lifting relatively heavy kettlebells is not going to make you bulky. And I don't care what your Aunt Carol is saying at the holiday gatherings. If she does not have the kind of results you are going after, you have got to tune that bitch out. Like, her opinion does not matter. If you are looking for elite results, you cannot listen to average or below average people preaching a message at you that they don't even understand for themselves. Okay. So I know the holidays are coming up, and I want to just kind of talk you through some of this stuff so you feel really confident about whatever situation you go into. And if you get stuck next to Aunt Carol, who's like 5 glasses in, she does not fuck with your mind. Okay. Okay. The people with the least amount of discipline or the people with the least amount of education are always the ones who are going to like word vomit advice at you, especially if you're doing stuff that is not super mainstream to everybody else. So I have a friend who has been on this weight loss journey, and she has a sister who has also been on a weight loss journey. And they were together recently, and my friend was telling me how she was eating with her sister, and their mom was there as well. And her sister and her mom were making these comments about how much she was eating. Now, mind you, my friend is getting all of her training advice from me, and she's had all of her nutrition work done by registered dietitian Hillary Irvin. Okay. So she is set up with a really good plan, really good structure. And her sister has not been following any of the same stuff. So my friend's sister has just been going about her weight loss journey doing really low calories, okay? And there was a comment that was made to my friend about, oh my gosh, like, how can you eat that much food? Like, I could never do that. And the goal anytime, weight loss or fat loss is a main piece of the puzzle. The goal is never like, I want to eat as little as possible. The goal should always be, I want to eat as much as I possibly can and continue to see the weight or the body fat go down. And that comment was really weird to my friend. Like, when she shared that with me, I could kind of tell that she was, brushing it off. But like, I know if a comment like that was made to me, I would feel bad and a little confused about it, especially if I didn't know what I already know in terms of fitness and nutrition. But I think sometimes when we don't have all of the education, it's easy to see somebody do something different, like my friend eating more food and still losing weight, in comparison to seeing how most people, they just slash as many calories as they can. And my sister's friend has lost a lot of weight, and I would say she's lost weight quicker than my friend. But my friend is eating a lot of food, and my friend is making comments around having a lot of energy. And my friend is building muscle and strength and, doing things with kettlebells and weight in the gym that her sister isn't coming anywhere close to. And I understand that for some people, it's like, but I just want to lose the weight as soon as possible. But I have to ask you this. What matters more, losing the weight as quickly as possible or losing the weight in a sustainable way where you know you are developing these habits that are going to not just allow you to achieve the goal, but then you're going to be able to maintain the goal? I had a conversation with a woman recently and she was just like, I lift. I've been really, dialed in with my macros, but I still don't have, as low of a body fat percentage as I wish I did. And I had asked her to explain to me her strength training routine, and her routine looks good. So then I asked her, what's going on with your macros? And she told me that she was only eating 1,200 calories. And I'm just thinking to myself, good God, woman, like, how long have you been doing that for? And she didn't give me a specific answer with that, but she was like, for a long time. And that is just not one of those sustainable things. When I was at the end of my last deficit, and to give you some additional information, I'm 5'6". I am a very active person, very active, meaning I train 45 times a week. I hit roughly 8 to 10K steps a day. Like, that's the kind of activity that I'm going after. And Hillary had brought my calories down to 1,400 for the last 2 weeks. I never went lower than that for longer than those 2 weeks. I think sometimes people who aren't working with specialists who are helping to organize the numbers and organize everything in a way that, you can do, and you can do it in a healthy way, they get to this point where it's like, all right, I've achieved the thing, but life is now going to be kind of miserable if I'm just hanging out around 1,200 calories for, the rest of my life. I don't think enough people understand, how do you do a reverse diet? How do you bring those calories back up? And it can just get kind of messy and confusing when you don't fully know what you're doing. I think a lot of people, you finish the cut, you lose the fat, but you don't reverse. So now you're just kind of in this state of, this is my life. And I don't know about you, but like, if I had stayed at 1,400 calories, and like in my younger years, when I did have an eating disorder, there were plenty of times where I was eating like that low of calories, and it was terrible. Like, all I wanted to do was lay in bed. I had no energy. But now, I've done this reverse now. I've maintained my fat loss for almost a year. I think it's been 9 months. And we reversed my calories. It took about 8 to 12 weeks to reverse my calories from 14 up to 2,300. And I've maintained my aesthetic. My weight has fluctuated about 1 to 3 pounds on a given day. And it's been amazing to not just maintain the results that I was going after, but also having more energy. And I know if I just listen to my fucking Aunt Carol, not even my Aunt Carol, I'm going to tell you another story. But if I listen to the people who are not experts on nutrition, I probably would have ended up gaining the weight back and then asking to do another cut, and then gaining it back and then asking to do another cut. I was at dinner with my parents for my birthday, and I feel like I've shared this on the podcast, but I don't know if I have. Both of my parents also struggled with eating disorders growing up. And I would say there's still some unhealthy eating habits that just go along in the circle that is my family. And we go out for dinner, and my mom orders lettuce. I kid you not. She orders a bowl of lettuce with some lemon and a little olive oil. My dad just started riding a bike again. He goes into these really extreme cardio phases. So he's riding a bike again. And he's like, I burned so many calories today. I burned 2,000 calories. And I said, that's amazing. I'm not somebody who is ever thinking how many calories am I burning in a workout? But, I want to be able to be supportive to him without, preaching anything. I feel like my parents know what I do. My parents see what I look like. My parents see how much food I eat when I go over to their house. So I never try to push anything at them. Instead, I try my best to be supportive. And if they have questions, I try to answer everything in as kind of a way as possible. But my dad was like, great, I burned 2,000 calories. I can eat anything I want. And then he was really disappointed because where we went to eat, they had all of the calories listed on the menu. And he was like, this isn't fun anymore, because now I see how many calories are in everything. And then he ended up ordering something on the menu that was the lowest amount of calories. And I remember thinking like, Dad, you can eat more. Like, you don't have to limit yourself to this. And it's interesting because I feel like in society, when the goal is fat loss, or, if the focus for you, depending on where you're at, is more weight loss before the pivot goes into fat loss, we think it has to be low calories. We think, I can't have the carbs. I can't, have the fat. Like it just needs to be, quote unquote, clean. And if the goal is lower body fat percentage and to be strong and energized and to have muscle, it's so much more nuanced than that. And if we just listen to the Aunt Carols who think that they know everything, it's really easy to maybe make some progress, but then kind of bounce back. And I'm so glad that my client who, was in this conversation with her sister and mom was able to just like stick to her guns. And then we had a conversation about it, and she just continued to track her macros and continue to eat what she was eating and continuing to lift, even though that's not what her sister was doing, even though her sister has seen, more weight loss in a relatively short period of time. Like my friend is set up so that as she is gradually going on her journey, she's going to be able to maintain the habits that she's working on building so that she does have this body that makes her feel, not just confident in her skin, but is also something that's going to be sustainable and lasting for her without the potential yo-yo that, I don't know her sister, but I would imagine her sister is probably going to experience, because that's just what happens when we slash a lot of calories really quickly. When you are taking a lot of stuff away, you might be able to sustain that for a little while, but eventually it's like, now I need everything. And it just turns into this like crazy binge and purge cycle, or this, burning all the calories. And it's cuckoo bananas. And that's why I want to make it really clear to you that if you do have family members who are making these comments to you, you have to take it with a grain of salt, because chances are they don't know any different than you. Chances are they don't have a registered dietitian. They don't have a strength training coach. They don't have a combo team that does stuff together like me and Hillary do, that shows people, how do I go about something like a fat loss phase in a way where I can actually maintain this and feel good. Now, something else that I know might come up with your Aunt Carol is her making comments on your body, especially if it didn't look like you needed to lose weight. Let me be really clear with this. There are some people who need to lose weight. Like, if you are at a point where you are in the obese category and, you are at risk for developing, heart disease or diabetes, like there are reasons as to why somebody needs to lose weight. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking to those of you who wanted to lose weight. This is not a health thing. This is a choice. When I went into my surplus, I put on about 30 pounds. And I have video all over the internet now showing the difference between me 30 pounds heavier versus me now. And I get a lot of comments, and I've even had one from my Aunt Carol, who, her name isn't Carol, but we're just going to call her Aunt Carol. And the comments are always, oh my gosh, you were so beautiful. Oh my gosh, I would kill for a body like that. Oh my gosh, like, why did you feel like you didn't need to lose the weight? And I'm just like, thank you. I never said I wasn't beautiful. Thank you. I never said that body was like a bad body. It's just not what I wanted. Like, I find a lot of times people who make comments like that, they would kill for a body like my body was 30 pounds heavier. I thought it was a great body to be in. I had no problem. Like, I was dancing in that body. I was living my best life in that body. I was hanging out in a thong bikini in that body. It was a great body. But I went into that phase because I wanted a six pack. I wanted a really tight and high ass. Like, I wanted to do these extra things to be defined and dangerous. And not everybody is ready to be at that stage. People who have more weight to lose first, yeah, they would kill for a body like that. But then once they get to that phase, they might realize, it's nice to be here, but maybe I do want the six pack. Maybe I do want more definition. And when people make those comments, that is also a form of fucking body shaming. And you are being a fucking asshole by telling somebody like, I loved your body that way. Like, why did you change it? You didn't need to change it. And it's like, this is not about you. This is about me. I received a comment from a man on Instagram this morning. I have a bunch of videos where I show myself, 30 pounds heavier versus where I am right now. And this man makes a comment saying, I preferred your body 30 pounds heavier. And I wrote back to him and I was just like, I'm really glad I didn't do this for you, because that's a really bad reason to want to change your body, like doing it for other people. I mean, when I think back to me in those like eating disorder days, I did it because I thought people would like me. I thought I was going to be accepted, and that is not it. You need to do these things because it's what you want. It's going to serve you in a better way. For me, like if I'm on the silks, if I'm doing body weight skills, if I'm dancing on a pole, being leaner and being really fucking strong, that makes those activities significantly easier than when there is more weight on my body. There's nothing wrong with the body I had. I loved it. I thought it was gorgeous, but it was not my end all be all. Whereas I think for some people, it depends on where they're at on their journey. And I do not want you to feel bad if fucking Aunt Carol is like, you're beautiful the way you are. Like, don't change it. Like, come here, like eat the extra cheesecake with me. Have the extra glass of wine with me. And listen, if Aunt Carol is trying to pressure you into eating food with her, Aunt Carol has her own issues with food. You do not need to keep her company by continuing to eat with her because she can't just like eat by herself. Like, that is a whole other animal to talk about. But do not let anybody make you feel bad because you do want to take your body to a more elite level that most people are never going to be able to get to, because I hate saying it's a lack of discipline, but it is. I don't even think it's discipline. I think it's, you don't have the energy. Like, you don't have the mental bandwidth to go there. Like, in order for me to do what I am doing, I do need to track my food. I do need to make sure my workouts are a priority. And I get that not everybody is able to do that. Maybe you have a bunch of kids. Maybe you're a single parent. Maybe you're somebody who has a crazy job where sleep is just one of those things that is always very hit or miss. There's reasons as to why some people just are not going to have the mental bandwidth to achieve something like a very defined body. And not everybody needs it. Like, you don't win a gold medal because you have a six pack. You don't. And there's nothing wrong with wanting that. There's nothing wrong with not wanting it. But nobody should shame you because it is something you want. One thing I love about my body is I can walk into any room and the majority of people who see me before I ever open my mouth, they know I work hard. I went to karaoke for my birthday, and this woman, probably like late 50s, early 60s, she comes up to me, and I'm currently in Arizona. I went out in Scottsdale, and Scottsdale is like known to be very plastic looking. And there's nothing plastic about me. Like, I haven't done anything to my face. My hair was probably the fakest thing, as you probably guessed. Like, the blonde was not, the blonde was not me. This is my natural hair color. I'm back too. And this woman comes up to me and she was like, wow, you must work so hard. I didn't say anything to her. I'm just in like this little bandage dress. And she's like, I can tell you work hard. And that feels good. It feels good to just be able to walk into a room, not say anything, and people just know you work hard. I like that. And I get that's not necessarily something that everybody values. But for me, it means a lot to be able to just be in a space and have people be able to connect me with hard work. That feels good. And I think for anybody who is thinking to themselves, I want these elite results, I want the defined, lean body, you have to ask yourself, why are you doing this? Why does it matter? And can you do it in a sustainable way? I mean, I see a fair amount of people in the fitness space who may have, had a six pack at one point in time, and then they go off on like, I was miserable, like I had low energy, I, wasn't able to maintain this, it was disordered. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, I don't feel that way at all. And I think the reason I don't feel that way at all is because it has taken me a long freaking time to get to this point because I did it in a very healthy way. I did it in a very sustainable way. And so much of my success isn't just knowing how to lift. And it isn't just having Hillary Irvin helping me with the nutrition piece. One of the biggest things is getting my butt into therapy and shedding the all or nothing mindset and knowing that it's going to take time to change who you are. It's going to take time to no longer let outside voices impact what you are doing. And like, if Aunt Carol is like getting into your head and making you question the experts that you're working with, the experts are only going to be able to say so much to you. There's probably some mental health work you potentially need to start implementing so that you can shut Aunt Carol out. Are you picking up what I'm putting down? Your goals, like whatever it is you want to do with your body, honestly, you just got to do it for you. It doesn't matter what Aunt Carol thinks. It doesn't matter what your sister thinks, your mom thinks, like any of these things. If you're doing it because this is going to make me feel better, or this is going to impact my life in a powerful way, in a healthy way, then do it. And you just have to put your blinders up and block out the people who are potentially making you feel bad or making you question the way you are going about everything. I mean, listen, if I continued doing things the way I did before getting into therapy, before Hillary, before, following a progressive strength training program, I would probably still be, the girl who was people pleasing and the girl who had no boundaries and the girl who was, living on the hamster wheel, AKA the treadmill, trying to burn, 2,000 calories so that I can feel like I'm able to earn the lowest calorie meal at the birthday dinner. And it's like, that's just not the vibe. The only reason any of that shifted was because I was like, clearly this is not giving me the results that I want. So clearly I need to stop listening to the Aunt Carols and I need to start listening to the experts so that I can at least give myself the shot and see if doing something different is what's going to allow me to get different results. I mean, if you keep doing the same thing on repeat and you're not seeing the change or you're not seeing a lasting, sustainable change, that is insanity. That is not going to change anything. You have to pattern interrupt. You have to do something differently. And once I did that, I got gnarly results. And I know I'm going to be able to sustain myself this time because I've done the steps necessary to get here. And if you are listening to this and you're thinking to yourself, like, yeah, I hear you, Colleen, but you're not actually ready to take the action, then it's not going to change for you. But if you are ready to take the action, then things will change. Please do not let other people ruin your, dreams of your dream body because it is not what they dream of for themselves, or they, think it's not possible to do in a healthy way, or they think it's like fucking AI. My friend this morning told me, she was like, my mom was questioning if your body's even real. Like, it looks so good, it must be AI, which is like the ultimate compliment. But I will tell you, my body is real. And I've seen some other like people in the fitness space recently who are like showing how would somebody manipulate their body on social media to like make it look different. And yeah, there are plenty of tools. I've never done any of that, and I never will do any of that on social media because I want everybody who sees my body and my page to believe that this is possible. I never want people to feel like they're comparing themselves to me, but I want people to always understand that if something like this was possible for, Colleen, then why could something like this not potentially be possible for me as well? When you go to the holiday dinner, don't sit next to Aunt Carol. But if you get stuck with that bitch, take what she has to say with a grain of salt. Maybe, feed her a little extra alcohol. Maybe she'll just like pass out. I'm kidding. Don't do that. But just listen to the experts in terms of moving yourself forward. Do not give the power to people who, number one, don't even have the results that they want for themselves. And they're not experts within the industry of helping you achieve the aesthetic that you're going after with your body. I get that your family has good intentions. I don't think anybody's necessarily trying to, sabotage you, but sometimes people just want to be heard. And I want you to just go into your holiday events with the Aunt Carols with a little caution and reminding yourself that, it's nice to have a conversation with your relatives, but you are only going to take your fitness and nutrition advice from the experts. Thank you for tuning into today's episode of the Dangerous Woman podcast. If you're just tuning in, make sure to give us a follow on YouTube so you never miss an episode.